The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild might be a giant, sprawling, 3D epic adventure game, but it didn't start out that way. Early in development, the game actually looked a lot more like the original Legend of Zelda on the Nintendo Entertainment System. You know, top-down view, 8-bit graphics, the works. This retro-style demo was never actually considered for the final game's graphics, but game director Hidemaru Fujibayashi said it was created to help prototype some of the concepts they wanted to put in Breath of the Wild. It was created to sort of try out the physics-based puzzles and engines that they wanted to put into the final game. You know, like how you can chop down a tree and roll it down a hill to attack enemies, or float logs on a river, or just light stuff on fire. When Nintendo brought footage of the tool to the 2017 Game Developer Conference, it offered a really cool insight on how the game was made, but it was also kind of a double-edged sword. When Nintendo fans saw this prototype, they instantly wanted that game as well as the full Breath of the Wild game. And when the internet gets excited about something, you know what happens. Wild rumors and speculation. Fans wanted to know if this was a hint at a retro-styled Zelda game, or the foundation of an engine that might eventually become a Zelda maker. You know, sort of like how the graphics that were in NES Remix sort of look like the graphics that wound up in Super Mario Maker. Most fans were just content to throw their dreams on the wall of Twitter and hope that Nintendo gave them some sort of positive response to these rumors. But apparently one gamer got tired of waiting and just remade the prototype on his own. This is Breath of the NES. This 2D Zelda clone is available to download for free from itch.io, and is a clear homage to the development tool made by Nintendo to develop Breath of the Wild. Right now, it's just a really simple test demo made by indie developer Winter Drake in his spare time, and in no way is it an official Zelda game. But man, it sure looks like one. The game's graphics are either inspired or seemingly taken directly from the original NES game, and the ones that are all new assets fit right in with the old pixel style. True enough, Link has a blue tunic now as a nod to Breath of the Wild, and slightly lighter hair, but in all other regards, he looks just like the Link we saw on the original Nintendo Entertainment System. He controls pretty much the same too, running around and stiffly thrusting a wooden sword forward. At a glance, this looks like a slightly updated, retooled version of the NES game, but there's actually a lot more to it. For one, it has a higher graphic fidelity despite being a pixel-based 8-bit style game. There's just more texture and detail in this game than the original game was capable of, including drop shadows, textured ground, and grass that waves and moves as Link walks through it. It also borrows a lot of gameplay elements from the Breath of the Wild as seen in the original prototype shown off at GDC. For instance, you can change weapons and use different weapons than just your wooden sword. You can chop down trees, move logs around, and set things on fire. Even better, that fire will spread, just like it will in Breath of the Wild, allowing you to create chain reactions of trees catching on fire and burning things down. It's pretty cool. There are a few other differences from classic Zelda too. Specifically, this game is a lot harder. In the entire demo, I didn't find a single enemy, be it Octorok or Skeleton, that didn't take at least 4 hits to take down. And these enemies pile up on you, swarming you in numbers that the only way to defeat them in some areas is to exploit the landscape and funnel them down a path. Hopefully that's something Winter Drake can fix in later versions of the game, but right now it makes beating his short demo kind of a chore. Even so, it's pretty exciting to see some of these big console game features integrated into this retro 8-bit style Zelda. It's awesome managing the inventory and picking out different 8-bit weapons like the hammer or the axe. It's neat that you can pick up different monster parts and eat them to restore your health, or collect apples to do the same. And on top of that, the game has a pretty big, open, interesting world, which already has plenty of secrets to find. Unfortunately, everybody is thinking the same thing about this game. Its time has to be limited. Not only is it using Zelda branding, it's using traditional Zelda graphics, characters, and sound. A cease and desist from Nintendo on this game is almost inevitable. It's kind of a bummer to think about, but the uptick is that Winter Drake says he's going to keep making the game even if Nintendo asks him to stop. It just won't be a Zelda game anymore. If it comes to it, he says he'll build his own IP and his own characters to continue building out this world. His reason? Well, he's just having too much fun making it. And that's the best reason, and maybe even the best possible outcome. Although an unofficial 2D Zelda game is great, I think I'd much rather have an indie developer find success by creating his own property, inspired by Zelda. And if Nintendo doesn't stop him, well, that might be a possibility too. It's true that they put an end to a lot of projects, but for The Legend of Zelda, there's almost precedent. For over a decade, a small team of developers have been maintaining something called Zelda Classic, which isn't just a fan Zelda game, it's a complete 100% recreation of the original NES Zelda running on a PC. That one probably gets away with it because it's not an emulator or a ROM, and all of the assets seem to be recreated painstakingly by hand. It looks and plays just like the original Zelda, and it uses the Zelda branding, but because it doesn't technically use any of the original Zelda's assets, it kind of gets a pass. Breath of the NES seems to use all its own assets too, so maybe it'll also sneak under Nintendo's radar. Even if it doesn't, I hope the developer keeps building it with his own characters. What he has here is the base for a really cool retro throwback adventure game, kind of like 3D Game Heroes on the PlayStation 3. Even without the Zelda branding, this would be fun, and I'd really like to play more of it. Want to play the demo for yourself? Right now it can be found on itch.io under the username Winterdrake. And if you want to see my first impressions for it, you can find an archive of my live stream playing the game for the first time in the description below, or by clicking the video on screen. Want to play that classic Zelda game I mentioned? Just go to zeldaclassic.com. It's free, it's kind of awesome, and there are a ton of custom quests. That's it for this week, guys, but until next time, take it easy, Internet.